Okay, it is time to talk about Exorcist Believer, the brand new film from David Gordon Green that was released back in October. And I'm finally getting around to watching it. The school year has been very demanding, and as a result, I've had to wait and save a lot of my 2023 watches until here, the last couple weeks of December. But here we are. Today I finally got around to watching it, and I can tell you that the movie is a trash fire. I was hoping for something better, but I will tell you this much. I went to the Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Studios back in October, and the maze that they created there was scarier than the movie that it was made from. It is unfortunate. It's unfortunate on many levels. First of all, there's the fan service stuff, which I normally don't really get after anyway. I don't understand why Chris McNeil, Ellen Burstyn's character, was even brought back to this film. She is completely and utterly useless. The plot doesn't need her in any way, shape, or form. It just seems a setup for the last shot of the film, or the last couple shots of the film that are just completely pointless, and I don't know why we need to have some oohs and ahs and Hallmark moments in a movie about, the devil making trouble for people, but apparently that was what Universal Pictures wanted. At the same time, I also think that the film is just ill-conceived. It's got a great premise, the idea of two girls getting lost in the woods, coming back different, and their families, having to make difficult, tough decisions involving their well-being until they realize that perhaps the girls are possessed by some demonic entity. I think that's actually a pretty cool idea in general. Unfortunately, the execution is bad. It's bad because, number one, so the film does not deal at all with the racial implications of the idea that one of the girls is black and one of them is white. I think that's, especially since it's set in the South, that feels like something that perhaps was in an earlier draft, but was executive noted out of the final cut. That feels very compromised to me. But secondly, I also feel like what made the original work wasn't the head spinning and pea soup vomiting of Regan. What made it work was Chris McNeil's questioning of faith. She's a skeptic in a science-driven world who is forced to have to think about questions of faith. We also have priests in the film who are literally questioning their faith, and being forced to face this ultimate evil causes them to have to consider the sacrifices of faith. I think that this is really what makes the original work so well. The horror that we're always focused on, the aesthetics of the film, come from the ugliness inside each of their hearts. It comes from the darkness in each of their souls, and that's why it's so damn scary. But in this film, it's all aesthetic. There's no, I don't really know any of these characters very well. Their conflicts are very basic and dull. And at the end by the time the film is over, there's no real sacrifice made, and it doesn't answer any essential questions about any of the Exorcist's core problems of faith and science and how can horrible things like this happen in the world in which we live. So to me, I feel like this film is a really huge disappointment. Gordon Green's a great filmmaker. I mean, he's made some really good films, and I actually have been a proponent of his Halloween films. So when I watched this, I was hoping for the best. Danny McBride was also a part of the story team, and it's clear that there were a lot of really talented people involved here. I just don't understand how those talented people created a film that just feels so meh, and it just really misses the mark. And the very fact that we're supposed to get a couple more of these just makes my heart sink. I feel like this is one of those things where Universal Pictures said, hey, Halloween Kills, we didn't like it, so now we're going to note you to death, and you're going to have to compromise. And I have a feeling that this film will eventually find out that it is a very, very compromised movie. But nevertheless, that's my thoughts on Exorcist Believer. I highly, highly don't recommend that you spend time with it.